The stars did not shine that night. They hid behind the clouds of cosmic dust, as if the galaxy itself was ashamed. The humans stood inside the last remaining ship, watching the countdown on the cold metal screen. No cheers, no tears, only silence filled the ship as it prepared to leave the only home they ever knew. Planet Earth was no more. It had been burned in the final war. Blamed on the humans by the Galactic Council, instead of death, they were given a different punishment: exile. To a planet so dead, so broken, even machines refused to land there. The Council called it mercy. Everyone knew it was a quiet execution. Vorticix, the dead planet, no water, no food, no oxygen, and no life. Just rocks, storms, radiation, and dust. Captain Reyna stood tall at the center of the command deck. Her face calm, but her heart heavy. She had once led war fleets. Now she was leading survivors. She turned to her crew, tired, hungry, and broken, but in their eyes, she saw something stronger than fear. She saw fire. "We will land," Reyna said, her voice clear, "and we will not die." No one answered with words, but they nodded, and that was enough. The ship UNS Deliverance shook as it entered Vorticix's orbit. Black clouds swirled beneath them like angry spirits. The planet looked like a graveyard. Sensors blinked with radiation levels high. Temperature unstable. Wind speeds deadly. Landing gear down, said Tomas, the ship's engineer, his voice tight. Reyna nodded. "Take us in." With a loud roar, the last human ship dropped through the storm. Lightning cracked, and the hull shook violently. It was like the planet wanted to spit them out before they even touched it. After a painful descent, they landed hard. The ground was sharp and cracked. Like dry skin split open by time, ash fell like snow, covering the ship in minutes. Outside, nothing moved. No animals, no plants, not even wind anymore. Just stillness. Reyna stepped outside first, wearing a heavy exosuit. Her boots sank into the black dirt. She looked around, breathing recycled air, and whispered, "This is our home now." The others followed. Setting up temporary shelters beside the ship, Tomas checked the air samples, shook his head. Toxic. Dr. Lin tested the soil. No life, but Reyna refused to give up. "This planet is dead." "Yes," she said, looking at her people. "But we are not. We will make air," she said. "We will grow food, and we will build again." Most nodded, but some looked doubtful. A young girl named Eris whispered to her brother. "Why not just give up?" Her brother smiled. "Weakly, because we're human." Days passed slowly. The radiation damaged their machines, the windstorms tore their tents, and supplies dropped fast. But humans kept working. They dug into the ground. Hoping to find something useful, they built filters to clean the air. They shared tiny meals, and nobody ate alone. Then, on the 7th day, something strange happened. A boy named Nico saw something shine near the rocks. He ran to it and found an old metal panel half buried in the dirt. It was not human. It was alien tech, very old, very advanced. Reyna ordered a team to dig around it. They found more pieces leading underground, a hidden structure buried deep beneath Vorticix. What was it doing there? Who had built it? And why had the Council sent them to this very place? Reyna stared at the entrance of the buried structure, her heart pounding. This planet wasn't just a death sentence. It was a secret, one the Council wanted to keep hidden, and now the last humans had found it. She turned to her team and said, "We were sent here to die, but maybe we were meant to find something else." Something powerful. The dead planet was no longer silent. It had whispered its first secret, and humanity had just started listening. Asterisk, the storm had passed, but Vorticix still looked like a place where life should not exist. Black dirt stretched in every direction, and thick clouds blocked the sun. The wind screamed at night like a ghost remembering pain, but the humans did not stop. Inside the main shelter, Captain Reyna and her team examined the alien metal plates they found. The structure underground was massive, older than any known alien ruins. Its walls had strange symbols carved deep into the stone. No one could read them, but one thing was clear: it wasn't natural. "We'll need more time to explore it," said Dr. Lin, adjusting her glasses. "But we must focus on survival first," Reyna answered. We can't explore anything if we're dead outside. Tomas and a group of engineers were working on broken solar panels. They had to dig through layers of ash just to find light. But even a little energy meant warmth and light at night, and warmth meant hope. In the food dome, young Eris was carefully planting small seeds in trays filled with artificial soil. They had brought only a few packets of earth seeds, wheat, beans, and potatoes. Water was limited, so every drop was counted. The seeds looked like nothing in the black soil. But Eris stared at them every day, whispering, "Grow, please." One morning, something strange happened. Tomas noticed a patch of green near a lava vent outside the base. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light. But when he got closer, he gasped. It was Mosario living plant. Growing on Vorticix without human help, he called Reyna immediately. They gathered around the moss like it was treasure. Dr. Lin scanned it. "It's not earth moss," she said. "Slowly, but it's alive." Reyna smiled. "If this world allows life even just a little, then we can work with that." They took samples and studied the moss. It absorbed heat and moisture from the lava vent, and somehow cleaned the toxic air around it. It was a miracle wrapped in green fuzz. Inspired, the engineers built a dome over the lava vent, creating a new test lab inside. They placed more moss samples and added earth seeds. Dr. Lin adjusted the oxygen levels and watched hours passed, then days. And then a tiny green sprout pushed out of the soil. It was a bean. Reyna called the crew together. "This is more than food," she told them. "This is proof. This planet is not deadites just sleeping." Cheers broke out for the first time since their landing. Even Eris laughed, her hands covered in dirt. They danced in the dust, not because they had much, but because they had something. That night, Reyna stood outside. Staring at the stars she could barely see, she thought about Earth, about the cities and the forests, now gone. But then she looked at the sprout growing in ash, and she realized something. Earth wasn't a place, it was people. And people were still here. The next day the crew built more domes, they cleaned more soil using special filters, they redirected lava vents to warm underground rooms. Step by step, the dead planet began to breathe again. Then another surprise came. While digging near the edge of the alien structure, the team found a tube filled with crystal rods. They glowed faintly when touched. The AI scanner on board the ship tried to read them and succeeded. "These rods contain energy," Tomas said, "and data." "But what kind of data, Reyna?" asked the AI. Replied in its cold voice, "Star charts, structural plans, and terraforming codes." Reyna blinked. "Terraforming." Dr. Lin stared at the rods in her hands. "Captain, this planet may have been alive once, and someone tried to bring it back." Now it made sense. The Council hadn't just chosen Vorticix randomly. They knew what was buried here. They wanted humans to disappear, but far away from this secret. But they had underestimated the one thing that made humans different. They didn't give up. Now Reyna had more than survivors. She had builders, thinkers, dreamers, and the planet itself was giving them tools. Not much, just seeds and ashes, but it was enough. As the green domes glowed softly under the red sky, a small garden bloomed on a world meant to kill them, and in that garden, humanity began again. The garden inside the dome was still small, but it gave more than food, it gave purpose. The humans of Vorticix worked every hour to expand it. They built more domes, used lava vents for heat, filtered the air, and found ways to recycle even. Ash, for the first time in many months, they were not just surviving, they were building. But one thing still haunted Captain Reyna: the silence. They had been on the planet for many weeks, and no one had tried to contact them. No ships, no messages. Not even an insult from the Galactic Council. It felt wrong. Inside the control room of the UN's Deliverance, Reyna stood over the comms panel. Her fingers hovered over the console. "We need help," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. More engineers, more supplies, even just information, anything could help. Tomas, standing beside her, shook his head. "If we send a signal, Captain, the wrong ones might hear it." Reyna nodded slowly. "Or Maybe the right ones will. She pressed the button. A sharp pulse of light beamed from the communications dish. It was a tight, encrypted message with Earth code sent into deep space. A call for help, for friends, for allies, for anyone still. Out there they waited. 1 day passed, then 2, nothing. But on the 3rd day, the warning sirens screamed. A ship had entered orbit, and it was not human. The crew rushed to the main screen. A sleek vessel floated above the planet like a blade. In the sky, black, sharp, covered in red symbols, Threx scavenger ship. The Threx were known for collecting wreckage from war zones. But they weren't just looters. They followed signals like vultures follow smoke. They heard us, Tomas muttered, eyes wide. Reyna stared at the ship, her voice calm but sharp. Raise the shields, arm the traps, don't fire unless they do. The Threx vessel hovered for hours, then without warning, a pod launched from it. It crashed into the ash plains near the Garden Dome. A squad of Threx soldiers stepped out, armored and armed. They didn't ask questions. They fired. But the humans were ready. Laser turrets hidden beneath the rocks activated. The traps Tomas had built from scrap metal and alien tech exploded with deadly precision. The fight was short but loud. When the smoke cleared, 3 Threx were dead. 2 ran back to their pod. The pod launched back to the ship and disappeared into the sky. But the damage was done. 1 dome had cracked. The oxygen inside leaked into the toxic air. Reyna ordered an emergency repair. Humans worked through the night, sealing the break, saving the plants, and yet something even more dangerous remained. The Threx hadn't just attacked, they had taken pictures, scanned human tech, and recorded proof. Proof that the humans of Vorticix were not only alive but thriving. Reyna stared at the stars, knowing what would come next. That wasn't just a visit, she said. It was a report. Dr. Lin sat beside her, holding one of the alien crystal rods. They'll send more ships, she whispered. Reyna nodded. Let them. The humans didn't waste time. They reinforced the domes, built new turrets, improved the air filters. They set up signal jammers and fake heat signatures to confuse incoming scanners. They also expanded their dig into the alien structure. The deeper they went, the more secrets they found. Strange machines, broken but beautiful, blueprints carved into the walls showing towers, rivers, even flying transport rings. This was once a real civilization, Dr. Lin said, amazed. And they tried to revive the planet before they vanished. Reyna stood quietly, running her hand across the ancient wall. And now we will finish what they started. Back in space, the Threx ship vanished into hyperspace. Its captain uploaded the data to the Galactic Council, and within hours the entire council chamber was in chaos. Impossible, one alien leader shouted. They were sent to die, said another. How are they still alive? But the truth was clear. Humans had not only survived exile, they had unlocked the forgotten power of Vorticix. And now the galaxy would have to decide, destroy them again, or face the rise of something new. Back on Vorticix, inside a glowing dome, the first bean plant bloomed fully. Eris smiled as she held it in her hands. It worked, she whispered. Reyna placed a hand on her shoulder. Yes, and this is just the beginning. The signal they sent had brought danger, but it had also brought clarity. Now they knew who their enemies were, and what was worth protecting. The dead planet was no longer quiet. It had spoken with roots, lasers, and fire, and soon the stars would echo with humanity's answer. Asterisk lightning split the sky like a giant claw. The storm above Vorticix was louder than anything the humans had faced since landing. Winds roared across the plains, ripping up layers of ash and rock. The domes groaned under pressure, shields flickering. It was as if the planet itself had decided to fight back. Inside the control center, alarms flashed red. Tomas shouted over the noise. Shield power at 60%. We hold, Reyna said, standing firm as the floor shook beneath her boots. Every dome, every plant we hold. But outside it wasn't just weather. Sensors picked up strange readings deep underground. shifting heat patterns, magnetic pulses, and pressure spikes. Something was moving far beneath the surface, something big. Dr. Lin was in the science dome when the ground cracked near her station. She barely escaped before the floor split open. Ash flew into the air as hot steam hissed from below. The planet was waking up in ways they didn't understand. "What caused this?" Tomas asked, wiping sweat from his forehead. Reyna stared at the screen showing underground scans. "I think we triggered it when we started digging below the base. The alien structure they had uncovered seemed to pulse with light now. Faint blue lines glowed along its surface. The deeper they dug, the more active it became. Is it dangerous?" Dr. Lin asked. "It might be," Reyna replied, "but it might also be the key to saving this world." While the storm raged outside, a team of 4 humans entered the dig site. Their suits were reinforced, their hands shaking. They followed the tunnel deeper into the darkness, past old walls covered in glowing symbols, past doors that hissed open like they remembered movement. Then they found it, a massive chamber with a circular device at its center. It floated off the ground, spinning slowly. It looked like a heart made of metal and crystal, but it wasn't beating. Tomas sent a scan back to the surface. "It's a planetary stabilizer," he said. "It can control tectonic movement, storms, and heat flow." Dr. Lin gasped. "And then it's not just a heart, it's the brain of this planet." The team worked quickly. Using both human tech and data from the crystal rods they had found earlier, they patched wires, replaced broken pieces, and activated a power relay, and then knit pulsed. A soft, steady rhythm. The ground stopped shaking. The storm outside slowed. The wind became quiet, like it was listening. Reyna looked out the window. It worked, but celebration came too soon. A second storm came from the sky, not of wind or water, but of fire. A Threx assault ship entered the atmosphere. Larger and deadlier than the last one. It didn't hover, it attacked. Energy blasts slammed into the shield, burning holes through. One of the outer domes, crops inside, were instantly destroyed. People ran, trying to save what they could. "Defense grid, online," Reyna ordered. The humans fired back with everything they had: lasers, traps, EMP bursts, but the Threx ship was armored. Faster and angry in the chaos, Tomas sent a signal through the alien system below. The stabilizer pulsed faster, then brighter, and from deep within the planet, a wall of molten rock exploded. Upward beneath the Threx ship, it wasn't natural, it was aimed. The Threx ship flipped mid-air, its engines overheating. Another blast of lava shot up like a spear. This time it hit. The Threx ship screamed in metal agony. Crashing into the far side of the valley, a fireball lit up the sky, brighter than any. Storm, silence returned, smoke drifted over the ashes. The humans stood under the dim red clouds, watching the wreckage burn. No cheers, only breath. They had won, but at a price. 2 domes destroyed, crops lost, and 3 lives gone. Reyna knelt beside a burned helmet in the dirt and whispered, "We will not forget." Later that night, as engineers worked to repair what they could, Tomas sat by the stabilizer controls. He turned to Dr. Lin. "The planet helped us." She nodded, "because we helped it." Reyna gathered the remaining crew. She looked tired, dirty, but stronger than ever. "They sent us here to die," she said, her voice sharp, "but we found power under our feet. Not power to rule, but to grow, to protect, and to survive." Humans clapped, not loudly, but with meaning. They had faced the storm from above and the fire from below, and they were still standing. Vorticix was no longer just a prison, it was becoming a partner, and deep inside its molten veins, the ancient heart kept beating, waiting for what the humans would awaken next. The fires had died down, smoke rose slowly from the wreckage of the Threx ship, ash blew across the valley like silent snow. And deep beneath the surface of Vorticix, something ancient had started to breathe again, the heart of the planet. Alien stabilizer pulsed with a rhythm that echoed through the stone. With every beat, the planet shifted, warmed, and came back to life. Tomas stood beside the device, still in awe. "It's like the whole planet is listening to us," he whispered. Reyna entered the chamber with Dr. Lin, both covered in dust and ash. They had just returned from checking on the surviving domes. "We lost two," Reyna said quietly. "But the new seedlings are holding." Dr. Lin nodded. "And this device saved us. They spent days studying it. The alien heart was more than just a stabilizer. It controlled systems far below the surface vents, soil layers, even underground rivers. It had been asleep for centuries, maybe longer, but it wasn't just waking up, it was responding. Using the crystal rods and fragments of alien data, Tomas unlocked more functions. They found a map, a 3D hologram of Vorticix as it once was. It showed forests, oceans, towers of light and floating cities. Dr. Lin stared in shock. "This planet used to be alive, beautiful," Reyna whispered, "like a second Earth." But something had happened. The map darkened, showing fire spreading, cities falling, water boiling away. The towers exploded, one by one, and then silence. "It wasn't natural," Tomas said, pointing to red zones on the map. "Something attacked it, or something inside broke apart," Dr. Lin added. They exchanged nervous glances. If the planet died once, it could happen again. Still, Reyna made her choice. "If this place was once alive, we will bring it back." Not for power, she said, but for purpose. They began activating functions from the alien system cautiously. First, they opened heat channels below the farming domes, using volcanic warmth to grow faster crops. Then they repaired water tunnels, which brought clean mineral water from deep underground. Soon, new plants started to grow, stronger and faster than before, and then came the moment no one expected. The humans gathered around as Tomas activated a final code sequence. From the center of the alien chamber, a crystal pillar rose. A soft voice echoed in the air. Not mechanical, not fully alive, but aware. "You are not the builders." The voice said, "But you have awakened me." Reyna stepped forward. "We are humans. We were sent here to die," she added, "but we chose to live." The voice paused, then replied, "Long ago, this planet was shaped by the builders. They left. I waited." Dr. Lin gasped. "It's an AI living system." "Yes," the voice replied, "and you have my attention." Reyna asked the only question that mattered. "Will you help us survive?" The planet's heart pulsed again, and the AI answered, "I will help you thrive." Right. From that moment on, everything changed. The AI gave knowledge, guidance, and access to systems even humans didn't understand. It showed them how to clean the sky, purify soil, build safe shelters, and even harvest energy from light and heat. But it also gave warnings. "There are watchers in the stars," it said. "Others who seek what is buried here. They will return." Reyna gathered her people and shared what they had learned. "This planet was once a jewel," she said, "and we're holding the key to bring it back. But others will try to take it." That night, humans worked harder than ever. They built stronger domes, smarter defenses, and expanded the power grid. But they also built gardens, schools, in a place of rest because this was becoming home. Reese planted new trees near the water stream, laughing as the wind moved the leaves. Tomas and Dr. Lin designed fusion panels using both human and alien tech. Children born on the ship were now running on soil never meant to carry life again. And in the heart chamber, Reyna stood alone. She touched the glowing pillar and whispered, "Thank you for trusting us," the AI replied. "Thank you for waking me."
Ow.
We want, we want to go, where do we want, we went, we simply
Cold, dark of space, Signals were already being intercepted. The Threx weren't the only ones watching now. The Council had received word proof that humans had not only survived but unlocked forbidden technology. They would not let it stand. Not again. And while Vorticix grew stronger each day, the shadow of war was already forming on the edge of the edge. Galaxy. But this time, humanity wouldn't run. They had a planet beneath their feet, a heart beside them, and a future worth defending. The stars blinked silently over the Galactic Council's great hall on the planet Elixir Prime, beneath Golden. Towers and glowing banners, the leaders of the largest alien civilizations gathered in panic. A Threx scout ship had just delivered something unthinkably live transmission from Vorticix. The room fell silent as the projection played. It showed green domes, tall machines humming with power, children laughing, crops growing, and Captain Reyna standing strong at the center, behind her. Alien towers once thought lost were lighting up again, and beneath her the planet's core pulsed like a living engine. "She should be dead," hissed Counselor Vire from the Zarn Empire. "Those humans were exiled," shouted a Sarakai elder. "That planet was unfit for life." But the images said otherwise. Humans had not only survived, they had revived. Vorticix, the dead planet, was now healing under their care, and worse. They had awakened the Architect Core, a relic from a race far older than any present. Counselor Thaler from the neutral male species spoke calmly. The humans were not told what lay beneath, he said. "You chose exile without full knowledge," Vire snapped. "They're too dangerous. They always adapt, always resist, always rise." A vote was held behind closed doors. No cameras, no citizens. Just whispers and claws on polished stone. And when it ended, the Council made its decision. "Dispatch a fleet," Vire announced coldly. "Not to rescue," he added, to silence. Back on Vorticix, the skies were calm, the new lakes shimmered, and wild green patches spread across the soil like veins of hope. Children helped carry water, engineers set up wind turbines, and music echoed softly through the open valley. But Captain Reyna felt something shift inside the ancient core chamber. The Architect AI flashed red for the first time since awakening. "Unknown vessels detected," it said flatly. "Origin, Galactic Council, intent. Hostile." Tomas leaned over the console, reading the incoming data. 17 ships, he said, voice tight. 3 heavy destroyers, 2 carriers, and drones headed straight for us. Reyna nodded. Her face calm, but her eyes sharp. "We always knew this day would come," she said. "We didn't survive exile just to fall to fear the people. We're called to assembly." Some were scared, some angry, others stood silently. Reyna raised her voice so all could hear. "The Council sees what we've done, and fears it," she said. "They want to erase us, but they've made a mistake. We are no longer the refugees of Earth," she said, stepping forward. "We are the people of Vorticix. This planet lives because of us. We will protect it." Cheers broke out across the camp. Children stood beside parents, farmers beside soldiers. Every person became part of the defense. The Architect Core offered guidance. It released blueprints, advanced shields, drone patterns, even orbital defenses. Tomas and his team worked day and night building weapons never seen by human hands. Alien tools forged in fire and hope. They turned water into power, heat into energy, and silence into strength. Each dome was reinforced, and camouflaged drone launchers were hidden in cliff walls. From the planet's crust, they raised pillars of defense, but not all was war. Even as they prepared, humans kept planting, building, singing, because this was still their home. They would not let fear take that away a week later. The sky turned dark as Council ships broke through orbit, the largest vessel broadcast. A cold message: "You have violated terms of exile. You will surrender or be cleansed." Reyna stood in front of the camp's comms unit, her voice steady. "We were exiled to die," she said. "And we lived. We did not break your rules. You broke your honor. If you try to take this world from us, you will. Learn what humans become when we have nothing left to lose." The Council did not reply. Instead, the ships began descending. High above, hidden in Vorta's upper atmosphere, the human-made satellites powered by alien cores lit up, laser beams, EMP pulses, and plasma bursts launched from orbit, striking the Council drones before they even entered the sky. Human fighters flew using anti-grav wings, built with architect tech, moving like birds of steel. The battle began not with fear, but with fire. One Council ship exploded over the sea, lighting up the horizon. Another fell into the ash fields, crashing like thunder. But more kept coming. Reyna led from the ground, issuing commands, guiding defense, and watching every soul under her care fight not with rage, but with purpose. They weren't just defending domes and crops, they were defending their right to exist. The architect AI whispered in her ear, "They did not expect resistance like this." Reyna smiled, her eyes cold. "They never do. The Council had made a mistake. Not by sending the humans away, but by thinking they would vanish. Now Vorticix burned with life, and the galaxy would soon learn what happened when you corner a species that had nothing and gave them everything to fight for." The last Council ship turned away, its engines burned as it left Vorticix behind. The sky above the valley was quiet again, except for drifting smoke and the soft hum of shield generators. The battle was over. The humans had won. Not just with weapons, but with unity. Not just by fighting, but by refusing to fall. Captain Reyna stood at the edge of the green fields that once were ash. Round her, new trees swayed in the gentle wind. Children played by clean rivers, and laughter echoed under the domes. Vorticix was no longer a prison. It was a promise in the heart chamber. The architect AI spoke again. "You have protected the balance," it said. "This world now belongs to you." Tomas and Dr. Lin worked together to expand the terraforming grid. With the AI's help, they created oxygen-rich zones across the planet. Soon humans could walk outside without suits. They breathed fresh air on a world that once tried to kill them. And word began to spread. At first it was rumors, stories, told in secret between traders and travelers. They say humans made the dead planet green. They say the Council tried to destroy them, and lost. Then came the visitors. A merchant ship from the neutral Draenari arrived, hoping to trade. They offered rare metals for seeds. Then more ships came, from species that had once ignored or feared humans. Now they came with respect, with curiosity, and with offers. Reyna watched it happen from the old command center of the UNS Deliverance. She smiled as alien children played with human ones in the garden. Tents became houses. Domes became cities, and survivors became leaders. They didn't build a palace. They built a council hall made of stone and glass, open to sky, open to all, no thrones, only tables. Vorticix had become a meeting point, a neutral ground where old enemies sat together and listened. The Galactic Council was shaken. Some of its members resigned in disgrace. Others demanded new leadership. But they couldn't stop what had already begun, because humans had done the impossible again. They had turned exile into empire. But not an empire of war, an empire of rebuilding. They shared what they had learned. The Architect Corps became a teacher. Helping others heal damaged planets, Vorticix sent engineers to poisoned moons, doctors to broken worlds, and seeds to barren soil. They didn't ask for payment, they asked for peace. But they never forgot what had been done, so they built ships, strong ones, fast ones. Not to conquer, but to protect. The first new fleet rose into the stars under Reyna's command. She named the flagship Hopebringer, not as a threat, but as a reminder. That hope can bloom anywhere van in ashes. Eris, now older and bold, became the planet's first ambassador. She spoke before the newly rebuilt Galactic Assembly. "I was born a refugee," she said. "I grew up on a planet with no sky, no food, no future. But now I speak for a world full of life. They exiled us," she said, her voice clear and strong, "but they forgot what humans do best. We begin again." Applause filled the chamber. Even former enemies stood. Because the truth could no longer be denied. Vorticix was thriving, and so were its people. Captain Reyna stood once more at the hill where she first set foot on the planet. She remembered the storm, silence, the fear, and then how they had dug, planted, fought, and hoped, how they had turned a dead world into something living. Now, as stars blinked above and towers glowed below, She whispered to herself, "They wanted us gone." But we became something greater, far beyond the system, in the cold dark. A strange signal pulsed again from deep space. Another architect core, on another forgotten planet, had awakened. It whispered to the stars, human contact successful, new. Doors would open, new stories would begin. This story of ashes and seeds, of fire and breath would never be forgotten. Because Vorticix was not the end of humanity, it was its rebirth. A thriving new empire, not built with chains, but with roots.